As is our practice in special meetings included, we have a committee of the whole first. We have 3 speakers signed up. I'll ask the clerk to, we will say the speakers too. I will ask the clerk first to call the roll, ask the committee of the whole to have a presentation from the administration and the regular council meeting.
President, I'll read the poll first. I'm the undersigned president of the City Council, pursuant to Rule 1, Section 2 of the City Council rules. Do hereby call a special meeting of the City Council to be held on Saturday, March 21st, 2009, in the City Council Chambers, 4th floor, City Hall, Yonkers, New York, at 9 a.m. for the following purpose: to discuss and take action on the local law to modify the redesignation of certain areas within the Yonkers Empire Zone, established under Article 18B of the General Municipal Law, entitled New York State Empire Development Zone Act, and all other items properly coming before the council. I'll call the roll. Council President Leslie?
Here.
Majority Leader Nobby? Here. Minority Leader McLaughlin?
Here.
Councilmember McDowell?
Here.
Councilmember Bernaschi?
Here.
Councilmember Berto?
Here.
Councilmember Barbado?
Here.
We have 3 speakers this morning. Our first speaker is Terry Joshi.
Good morning, everybody. I just want to bring up one thing that I wanted to talk about last week, but it was so late, and it's my only comment because truly I don't understand the Empire Zone stuff as really as well as all of you do. But I don't understand really taking a piece of the property and putting it on what will be a garage and a not-for-profit. I mean, I can understand the KK Center portion comfortably, but in terms of this piece for the downtown, I question why we are putting it on the government center property at 87 Effingham, which will essentially not be able to really avail itself of any employee credits. Because essentially the garage will have, what, 1 or 2 employees, and the Salvation Army has very few. And if Governor Patterson actually does remove the retail from the project, then the small strip of retail along the Main Street won't be involved. And I just question maybe that property could be used more efficiently, that everyone's own piece, perhaps on South Broadway or Riverdale Avenue, where we really have what could be considered major light in the city. So that was my only comment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker.
Our next speaker is Deirdre Moore. Deirdre's not here. And then Diana Whitaker, on behalf of Little Daniel Homeowners.
Good morning. I'm speaking on behalf of the 400-plus families that live at the Kimball Avenue Co-ops directly across the street from the shopping center. We're very concerned about the speed and the seems to be immediacy in pushing through this zone area. We're not sure of all the effects it might have on the surrounding area, specifically on the property values of our area. We are concerned about a great deal that is happening at the Cross County Shopping Center. We weren't contacted about a number of items. A lot of things were pushed through that we objected to. And we now object to this because we feel if anyone should be given a tax break, it should be the senior citizens and disabled residents that are living in our co-op who have put up with a great deal of noise and confusion, especially with an unwanted exit that was foisted upon us. We don't see any reason why any tax break should be given to the shopping center. They were not proposed at the initial offering. They should not be given now. We feel that a new environmental impact review should also be done if this is now being introduced. As I said, this was never mentioned in the beginning, and we do not want to be considered a blighted area. If this concerns our designation and our living environment, we feel that it should be reconsidered. We feel that it should be voted down. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Logan Center.
Margaret Sutherland, I'm living on Warburton, 146 Warburton Avenue. My concern about this is with history. And going back to the time of George Washington, he used to come here with Martha to shop. They would shop. This is where you had row upon row of the finest merchants in the whole rogue country. And then, so this, New York City has always been the place to shop. If you think of New York, you think of shopping when you want to come to New York, from any part of the country. When you're going to go to Kentucky, you don't think you're going to go shopping. It's New York, you're going to be shopping, and you're going to find the finest things everywhere. And we need to strengthen what we now call retailers. Back then, they were called merchants, but we have to strengthen now the retailers that we have here, which bring New York its eminence in this kind of specialty that we have. You can find anything in New York. So I think that the Empire zones serve this kind of mission to make New York really special. And that it's tagged to job creation is marvelous. And that's an important factor about it. So I think that if anything, we should broaden the Empire zones. I think most definitely Yonkers should make some kind of official, create official position that retail should not be taken out of the Empire zones. We have to do what we can to strengthen retailers, our great merchants. The legacy of being a merchant in New York is something very special, and internationally. And then also, my only concern, I have one concern about the Empire Zone process as it's related to job creation, is that I have a concern that it could be a revolving door. What's to prevent a merchant from hiring, let's say, 30 people, and then a month later or 2 months later, they're all dismissed? But you got your tax credit for having hired, showing that you hired 30 people. So I just want to be sure that when people are hired, it's not a revolving door just to keep saying that you've hired people, but then you don't have to show. You need to show that you kept them, and that you hired people reasonably, people who are qualified to keep those positions, people motivated to keep those positions. So it's not that you're just using this. That's the loophole I see, that you could be using this just to hire people for the sake of showing that you're doing that, and then they're gone. So these must be jobs that are created that are substantial and secure. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McGloy.
Yeah, Martin McLeod for the record. I still have a few questions about the holding of this meeting on Saturday. Since I got notice of another real estate committee meeting on Thursday or Tuesday, I'd like to know why this all couldn't be combined. But you're aware of my criticisms. One question I have about the moving of the Empire Zone from one place to another. Firstly, I'd like to know how someone defines Cross County, which is a vibrant and large retail outlet, how it's actually blighted. And also I'd like to know, for the record, it's interesting, in 2005, the Rich Hill property was assessed by the city of Yonkers at $230 million. And despite the fact that it was a forest basically for all intents and purposes. In 2008, the assessor's office is now defined by the assessment of the city of Yonkers as $125 million, despite the fact that it's a construction site. So if 54 acres are taken from this site and placed wherever it is placed, it seems like a sort of a little jigsaw game we play here. I'd like to know, will that have an effect on the pilot that Forest City Runner has? Will it have an effect on the overall taxes the city brings in? And to what extent it will affect also Cross County? I'd also like to know, for the record, you know, what the purpose of this meeting is really, apart from to put this in the Empire Zone. And on pilots and on how the Empire Zone works, I think Governor Patterson's criticism of retail are actually perfect. There needs to be some way we can find out if the benefits from the Empire Zones actually trickle down to the community. And sometimes it doesn't look like they do. Someone mentioned, well, for want of a better word, accountability. What I'd like to see what is in places in Ireland with all of these projects, whether it's Empire Zones, pilots, special assessed values from the IDA, there needs to be a cost-benefit analysis, and something that's going to the City Council visits year by year and goes back and said, if you promised 5,000 jobs, you actually delivered. If not, the tax benefits that you got must come back